I came up with this idea of going, I wonder whether if we just create a space, there must be a lot of people going through this thing, because we were all going through it, weren't we? You know, start a lockdown, didn't whether it would be 4 weeks or 4 months or 4 years. So I'd made a load of contacts, like a load of wellbeing contacts, professionals, non-professionals, people that were doing charitable stuff. I thought, maybe we just create this space. So being very Burnley, I called it Roast and Toast. It couldn't be more like Roast and Toast. Everybody's going, Roast and Toast, is that what it's called? I'm like, yeah, it is, that's it. Because basically the roast was the coffee, the toast was the beer, because that was good. And that was the thing that worked for me. So did week 1 and invited everybody I knew, you know, my mum and dad, mates from football from the past, wellbeing experts, doctors, anybody that I knew, just said, look, this is what we're doing. Do you want to come in, have a brew? It'll be an hour, Wednesday morning. And I just did this, boys. I just shared the story a little bit and thought it would last, 4 weeks or whatever it was. I think we did episode 64 this week. So we've been running it for 64 weeks. And over that time, I think we've had probably about 250, nearly 300 people come to this thing. Yeah. Business people, doctors, single mums, whatever, you name it, they've been through the door. And all we've done is create this space where we almost do what we're doing today, talk about some stuff that's relevant, sport, music, films, and all that kind of stuff. But we kind of mix it into topics around, how do you talk to your mate if they're struggling? How are you doing today? Like really, how you doing? And what's your word for the day? And don't give me all the anxiety and depressing and all these kind of, buzzwords for mental health. Tell me a word that really means something to you. And if it's hippopotamus, fair dues, that's you today. And if it is hippopotamus, then that's negative. How do we make it into giraffe? Because that's positive. We did something a few weeks ago with some lads in Burnley actually, and their good word was clarets and the bad word was Blackburn, obviously. They toned it up a little bit, but it's a family show. But they were coming in on a Monday morning into this lad-driven shop floor. How's your weekend been? Yeah, it's been a bit rovers. And lads were going, right, you've had a bad weekend, I'll keep my eye on you. How's your weekend been? Oh, it's been clarets. Brilliant, what do you do? And these lads then started coming in and saying, yeah, it's been a bit clarets, it's been a good weekend, it's been a bit rovers, it's been a bit anxious. And these lads, like your stereotypical 35, 45-year-old Burnley, like, coming in and go, I'm using like proper words for mental health and it's all right. And I'm going, yeah, just become part of normal conversation. So we developed all that kind of stuff. And about 6 months ago, when we were starting to look at the option of getting back into live places, so I want to do this as a live event. It's great on Zoom, and people come in with a video off, and you can come in however you're feeling, and you want to talk, you can, which is brilliant. If you don't, you can just sit and listen. You can put stuff in the chat room. It's made it really accessible. People have contacted us. It's like counselling, or it's the best thing in my week, and people have contacted, well, I'm coming in this morning. I need to be there, but I just don't want to put my screen on today. Brilliant. In you come, just come and take the space in. And people are coming in for the first week going, I've shared stuff that I've never talked to anybody about in a room of total strangers. It just feels like a good space to open up and going, well, right, brilliant. We'll take that as a win. So kind of came up with this idea of going, it has to go live, because otherwise it's just a false thing. But if it goes live, it needs to be in a pub, or it needs to be in a coffee shop where people are comfortable. And one of the lads that comes in, his business is bottling and canning and kegging beer. So they take the beers in and they rebrand it and ship it out. He said, oh, we've got a bar in the brewery. Do you fancy doing roast and toast in there? I said, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Sounds like the ideal spot. Have we lost Phillips for a minute? He's departed.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he's gone. He's dropped out.
He'll return. We'll carry on chatting.
You carry on.
He can bob back in. So he kind of said, yeah, we can do it live in this bar venue. I said, cracky. I said, I just had this idea, mate. I want to put a wellbeing message on a can of beer. And he went, you can't do that. It's not good for your mental health. I went, well, do you know what? It was all right for mine, because actually that can of beer with a mate was really helpful for me. So maybe you can put a well-being message on a can of beer. And I said, I think I want to stick it on a bag of coffee as well. And he went, you can't do that either, because that's not good for your mental health. I went, well, actually, a brew with a mate is a good thing. So I said, it's actually not about the beer or the coffee. It's about the conversation.
Yeah.
So what if we created a load of products that are linked to conversation? So coffee, biscuits, tea, hot chocolate, anything that you'd share with a mate. And what if we created something where you could just send it to a mate and go, look, I'm not saying that you've got mental health issues. I'm not saying you've got problems with your well-being. I'm just saying I haven't seen you for ages. Do you fancy a beer? Do you fancy a brew? Should we have a catch-up or, the game, whatever? So the 6 connections thing came on the back of, I don't know if you've heard of this thing called 6 degrees of separation. And it basically says that you're 6 separations from anybody on the planet. So the long and the short of it is you in 6 conversations, something like 6.75 or something, you can reach anybody on the planet in that conversation with that connection. So separation sounded a bit negative. Connection sounded a lot better. I went, right, 6 connections. That makes sense. Brilliant. We do this tonight, and then, in X amount of times, people grow it beyond what we do. I thought it feels quite big, that. Let's make it a bit smaller. What if every conversation I have or we have as Mindsight and 6 connections? So tonight, in a workplace, whatever it is, what if we encourage every person in that room to go and have 6 positive conversations with the mates about how they're doing? So either I've done this session with this lad from Burnley and he's come up with this stuff and it sounded half decent, so I'm going to try it. This is what it is. Or say to 6 mates, look, I'm not doing great. Can I come and chat to you about it? Or the other way around, we might be doing all right now, but here's me saying to you, if you're never not all right, come and give us a shout. And if they go and speak to 6 people and they go and speak to 6 people in not a massive period of time, you start to impact quite a lot of folk. And I'm going, be cracking if we delivered this in a workplace, on a Friday morning to 20 blokes who all went out to the pub on a Friday night and had 6 conversations with mates about this in the normal environment. So that's what we did. So we produced these little beauties on hand. So we created a couple of beers and we created some coffees and teas and stuff. So the tagline on it, if you can see, is a real conversation starter. So that's it. But I thought that's not enough. It's just a can of beer. So we stuck a QR code on it. And the QR code basically goes through to a website of support and help. So you can sit in the pub with your mate and loudly or quietly, however you want to do it, your mate goes off the toilet, you scan the QR code and you get all the info there. And then I thought, that's all right. We can do that. So we partnered with somebody that does kind of professional support, and they've got an app and you stick your postcode in, it gives you all the professional stuff, which was brilliant. But I actually thought the hardest thing to do for most people is say you're struggling. So what we need to do is actually make this site for the mate that wants to help, not necessarily the person that's struggling. So if your mate's not going to speak out, which is more than likely if they're struggling, what can you do to help encourage that conversation? So that's what we've done. It's real conversation powered by mates. We've decided that we're going to hit mental health with our mates. That's the plan. So you go onto the site and there's all this, like these little, I guess, scenarios, my mate's gone really quiet. I don't know what to say. How do I start? My mate's talked about suicide. I'm not an expert. Can I say anything? What do I do if? And what we're trying to do is pack that site full of as many scenarios as we can, from young people, from old people, from lads in a footy dressing room, from construction, from lads in creative, because everybody has a different question, don't they? And everybody that's tried to help a mate has always had that scenario of going, what if I get it wrong? What if I say the wrong thing? What if, especially if it gets towards the crisis point, what if my mates mention suicide and I say the wrong thing? Well, actually, sometimes in those scenarios, you just need somebody to say, do you know what? Actually, that's okay to do. It's like having your backup team there without actually having a real person. So that's it, boys. That's kind of where we're at. And I've got all these cracking ideas of trying to stick it on footy shirts. And so we've got this QR code that can sit on anything. So I want to stick it in, washing labels on footy kits. And I'm thinking, Saturday afternoon, amateur football, like we used to play. Every dressing room's got this QR code in the shirt that you pick up on the hook, and then you go and play your game and you come back, sticking it into high vis vests on construction sites because your mate's high vis vest is your salute. All that kind of stuff of just making it accessible and easy, because, we've all had that conversation. We've all been through our own stuff, and it's tough. It's horrible. And you need your mates as much as you need all the professional support as well. Counselling and all those kind of things are superb, but you only get it for a certain amount of time, don't you? You might get your 1 hour counselling session, which is brilliant, and you get some tools and some techniques to help you manage, but you go back into your wife and your family and your work, and you need those conversations, don't you? You need a pal around you just to give you the backup. And as the mate, you just want to help, don't you? That's what you want to do. So we call it well-being with the swagger of the Gallagher brothers. That's how we're doing it. It's all Adidas 3-stripe. It's footy banter. It's got to work on the terraces for me. If this can work on the turf on a Saturday afternoon or on a construction site, I'm pretty confident we can crack anything. Because that's where it's needed, isn't it? You look at the turf on a Saturday afternoon, primarily that target audience is, if you look at all the stats, the people that are suffering most.
Yeah.
You go on the turf on a Saturday afternoon and you're able to pick one of those up every week as your beer, and you have a beer normally, but the odd week, do you know what? You might just need a little bit of extra help.
In your match day programme, on your actual Burma shirt that you're wearing.
100%.
On the back of your ticket, like how hard could it be to put a QR code on the back of a ticket? And
exactly. Yeah.
So we're starting those conversations. So what we've realised is actually the QR code itself has as much power as the products. We've made these products and they sit in the shop and they sit on the Six Connection site, which is great. But what I've realised in developing all this kind of stuff is that the partnerships and the connections I've made with the people that have helped us produce this stuff has been really powerful. So we've done a little bit of merchandise and stuff, and I've got a contact, just quick story. And he said, I've got a fellow that will be able to help you out. So I do a Zoom call, never met this bloke before. And I used to have, in the old house, I used to have a writing shirt behind me.
Yeah.
And you can see it on the Zoom calls. And this guy came on the call, full on Cockney geezer. And he basically went, "What is that behind you, Sam?" And I'm going, like literally, no hello, no nothing. What is that? And he basically turned around, held this Spurs mug up and went, I said, "Shall I just get me coat, mate? We're not doing business here." Oh, he went, "No, mate, I like taking money off gooners." So we had a bit of banter, usual football banter. And he said, "Dave, what do you do? What do you need from me?" And I did this, told him a little bit about that stuff. And he just got up and walked off the screen. And I'm like, what have I said? What have I done? He's closed the office door and he's come back and sat down. He said, 7 years ago, I woke up in a hospital bed with 2 gooners at the foot of my bed because I tried to kill myself. And I'm like, what? He said, "So I'm all in, Dave." He said, "Whatever you need." He said, "This is a business thing. You're going to buy some stuff off me." He said, "But I'll stick the QR code in the labels for you on all your products." Why? Because it'll help somebody. "And I'll do this, and I'll put the postcards in that we send out that have got, you can write messages." I said, "I'll do all that." And I'm going, I've just met people that have got a story. It's the same in Roast and Toast. 250 people have been through. They've all got a story of somebody, either themselves or somebody that they know, that's been through some tough stuff. Why? Because we all go through some tough stuff. And it's life, innit? And even the good stuff can be quite stressful, can't it? Kids and marriage, moving house. It's all,
it's all good, but sometimes it's the hard things that put as much strain as the good things can put strain on as well as the bad things, can't they?
Yeah, that can be the tipping point, can't it? You bring a bit of anxiety back into the world of something else where you're at this point, and something positive takes you over the edge. You're then making that positive thing into something negative with everything else. And, sometimes, the Six Connections thing for me, and we touched on this a little bit before, and it was quite an interesting point you made, Mark. 6 connections for me. I have my 6 mates around me. You know, I'm the logo's circle in the middle, and you've got 6 people, and there's an arrow connecting each one.
Yeah.
The idea is, you know, sometimes you're in the middle, and you're the person that just needs to text some stuff. But other times you're the person on the outside giving stuff in. But the bonus of how we've designed it is you can be giving out while you're taking in.
Yeah.
But you need different people around you. So, you know, I've got the mate that'll stick his arm around and go, "You're right." I've got the mate that kicks me up the backside and says, "Look, you can do this, crack on, we'll do it together, but you need to get over you, give your head a wobble, and this is where you know, you've got the person who just says, "You're doing all right. You do,
Yeah.
you know, you've got the fellow that wallows with you a little bit, but you can't hang around with him too long because you need a bit of a pity party, but you need to get out of it." And those 6 people all play a different role for me. And I know who they are. I could name them now. And they all play a role at different times because, you know, our processes, this isn't about one person in HR managing 40 blokes. This is about 40 blokes managing one person in HR. Why? Because it works the other way around. And if it starts to work the other way around, we'll actually start to make an impact on some of this stuff. So it's quite big, boys, if I'm being honest. It's been a busy 2 years.
Yeah.
So you're going big or you go, I think it's what's the statement, if I'm not mistaken, it's going big or you go big or go home.
Go big or go home. Yeah.
You've nailed it.
Yeah. And do you know what? Like the first, I had a meeting today with a fella that was one of the first people I talked to about this. And I'd never met him before. He said, "What do you want to do, Dave?" I said, "I want to save the world." And he laughed. And I went, "I do." I said, "Because if that's not the strength of this and the big vision for this," I said, it's half-hearted, isn't it? Now, I'm not, you save your own world first, don't you? You know, you save the people that matter to you. And then, do you know, the idea of Burnley being a brilliant, healthy town appeals to me. Why? Because I grew up here and I love it. So I want to start with businesses in Burnley. You know, I'd love Burnley to be the first club to stick a QR code on the back of a ticket that every Saturday people could get help directly, you know, and it works.
Away fans getting that ticket as they come through the gate. Yeah, you're not just hitting Burnley fans then, or you're hitting away fans at the same time.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. And then, you know, I want those fans to come back and go, "Actually, do you know what? This would really help me." So here's something to stick on your website because this is what I thought of. And then all of a sudden you're building this community, aren't you? So, you know, 10 stories from footy fans of how they helped a mate on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, it all matters. It works both ways, doesn't it? You give a bit and you take a bit. And it's like any community thing, isn't it? The more people that are inputting, the more support you've got, the more backup you've got, the more options you've got. But it goes right back to what we were talking about, doesn't it? That dressing room environment that, you know, we grew up in, you know, the lads that you still talk about now fondly, don't you? You know, and when you talk
can't help but smile.
It's absolutely right. You can't help but smile because they were good times, and we were probably all going through our own stuff, weren't we? Even back then, you know, it's probably a lot simpler. But for 90 minutes on a Saturday afternoon, you had 11 lads backing you up, didn't you? You know,
you didn't think of anything else at that point, did you? No matter what was going on in at any other point in your life, realistically, for that 90 minutes, all you're thinking about is he's there, he's my mate there, he's my mate there. Just the 11 lads on the pitch and the blokes that are on the sideline that are your subs, your manager, your friends, your family watching the game. They're all invested in you and your mates at that point.
Yeah, I saw a picture the other week, actually. I think Chris had put it up of that cup final we played, the team before that cup final. And I looked at that and went, there wasn't a bad lad. You know, there wasn't a lad on that picture that I wouldn't have gone out for a pint with, that I wouldn't go out for a pint with now. And I reckon within 5 minutes, the conversation would start. And it'd be like we played last Saturday.
Just like us tonight, jumping on here and we straight away the banter was flying. It was like we were back in them changing rooms again, like you've already said. We could easily just be in a pub having a conversation right now, doing exactly the same thing.
And that's the thing, innit? And I think what we've realised with the roast and toast thing, you know, it's everybody's been to networking events, and it's nothing like that. It's got the same format because there's people in a room. But what people have done, they've connected with people that are like-minded. So it might be interests, or it might be somebody, you know, people have shared some really tough stuff in there. You know, we've had people telling stories about attempted suicide, domestic abuse. We've not skirted around stuff, but because of the way we've done it and the environment we've created, people haven't necessarily related to the person's story, but they've maybe related to how they recovered or the action that they took. So all of a sudden they're like-minded, they're sharing some stuff. And it's not like, oh, tell me what your business does. It's like, tell me what you do. Why do you do what you do? How did you get... And then all of a sudden you've got these people that are connecting because they realise that, you know, somebody came on this week and in the background, she's got this footy boot. I'm like, whose boot's that? She's like, oh, it's signed by Cantona. I'm like, all right, okay. So one of the other fellas who's a United season ticket holder starts talking because they're both United season. They'd never met before. And then all of a sudden we go, right, how big do you think his boot is? Like, I don't know. He's probably a 7 and he's only a little noise an 8. And we're in the middle of this like mental health and well-being thing, chatting about Cantona's boot. But then we start chatting about United and the fact that he'd gone back to the game. It was his first game back this week. And how he'd missed it and how actually it had affected his mental health and stuff because he'd not been able to go on a Saturday afternoon and all that kind of stuff. And then when you do that, all of a sudden that normal conversation flips into, you know, these things are actually really good for me. And other people go, you know what, yeah, I need my United or I need my Burnley on a Saturday afternoon or I need my version of that where I just do stuff that's good for me. And it just links. It's just talking, boys, isn't it? That's...
Yeah. So, Shawsy, where is roast and toast?
It's a very
Times,
simple scheme.
Places.
Say that again, Young, sorry.
Where is your roast and toast? Time, place?
Okay, so we do roast and toast on a Wednesday morning on Zoom. So it's 9:30 till 10:30. And I can, if people are interested, just get them to drop me a message and I can send all the Zoom links like we've done. But again, we've made it accessible. So if you come in at 20 to 10, you can. And if you leave at 10 o'clock, you can. That's absolutely fine. And then we've just started doing another one every fortnight on a Monday evening. So that's 6:30 every second and fourth week. And then we're about to launch one for businesses as well. So it'll be a little bit more structured. But the idea is we want to show people how they can effectively do what we've done over the last 18 months and create their own version of this within their workplace, within their community or whatever it is. So yeah, that's the plan, boys.
So we'll obviously we're gonna plug the hell out of Six Connection and Mindsight on our page. Then we'll share 100%. Them on our pages as well, so that we try and hit as many people as possible. If you can ping us an email, another email after this, then and just telling us the times again, so that we've got them down in an email, so that when we post this up tomorrow, we will have them so that we can link it on and tell them to get in contact with you for a link to that. I will definitely be taking the link for a Monday evening one, the next Monday one, because I want to drop in and see that, without a doubt. Yeah.
Brilliant.
The roast and toast one for me. Yeah.
I'll get you some beer. I'll get you some beers, boys, as well, because I can now.
I tell you, look at
this. Pretty decent as well.
We've seen this youngin now. He's like owner of a business thing, and now he's like calling shots. You don't worry. I'll send you a crate, lads. Don't worry.
Listen, the only deal with the beers is right. This is how we've done it. The only deal is whatever beers I give to you, you've got to take and give to somebody else. So that's the deal. I'll give you 6 between you. All I want to do is see you boys with the beers with a couple of mates.
Absolutely.
You're joking. I'll talk to myself. Never mind anybody else.
Actually, Youngie, if you could do that, Young, that'd be better. I'll send you some tea. I'll send you some big.
Challenge. You want to send me about 84 beers or something like that? I'll just.
That's fine, mate.
I'll hand them out to someone who brushes past me. It'll be fine. What's that? You want a beer? There you go, pal.
Love it.
But yeah, honestly, I'll go as far as saying this has been my favourite episode so far. We've got to talk football, and then we've gone on and get to talk about mental health. And we've had a good couple of conversations, me and Mark. We've had DJ on as well already, and we've got some fantastic guests lined up. But so far, this has been great, and I look forward to having you on again.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm always up for that, mate. Absolutely. And like I said to DJ the other day when he was on, let's grab a beer, the four of us, because it's been way too long on it.
Yeah.
You know, let's do that and meet face to face and live.
How about first round? How about that?
I like that. You heard it, and we've got it on video, by the way.
Is that recording?
It's
right,
recorded, yeah. It's still
Wow.
on record. So yeah, again, thanks very much for coming on. It has been a really good one tonight. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna do it as 2 videos. I'm gonna do the break, and then I'm gonna put the next video up as well. So but they'll go on at the same time. Mark will put them on
give us
Facebook.
a shout, and I'll bat them around in a few places as well, so the people can see what we've been nattering about.
Yeah, so the We Know Nothing Show followed Six Connection and Mindsight on Facebook today.
Cool.
All being well, over the next couple of weeks, we'll be on sort of Instagram and that, and we can start jumping on there as well. So, but yeah, thanks so much for coming tonight. Everybody
pleasure, boys. Absolute pleasure.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Cheers, guys.
All the best, guys. Take care.